Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Welcome to you live from the National News Studio. Welcome to the news. My name is Clifford Richards.
And I'm Mishrain Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines first.
Aswasthma list included with disabled, elderly and kidney patients will be published next week. An accelerated dengue control program in the Colombo Municipal Council area. A police reward scheme for the recovery of unauthorized firearms and hand grenades increased. Instructions to the Excise Department to recover the taxes due from large-scale liquor manufacturing companies. A new bus stand in Katharagama vested with the public. New members to the Election Commission. Wagner Group withdraws from Russia after ending the rebellion.
On to those stories and others in detail, and your main story for tonight is Acting Finance Minister Shehant Semasinghe says the list included with the nominated recipients of the Aswasthma Social Welfare Program will be published next week.
Well, he said that so far the list of families who have been selected to receive the relevant benefits under the program has been published. Meanwhile, Samurdhi Trade Union Collective, in a media briefing held in Colombo today, alleged that the benefits of the Aswasthma Social Welfare Program have not been extended for the rightful recipients. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardene, speaking at the Sitavaka Divisional Coordination Committee meeting, said that the time period provided to submit appeals have been extended until July 10th. Prime Minister said that there is still more time for anyone to submit appeal next week. He said that any person who feels that they are unfairly treated could submit proposals. Acting Finance Minister Shehant Semasinghe, in a media briefing held in Anuradhapura yesterday, also made remarks in this regard. The minister said that the IMF and the World Bank have clearly pointed out that the benefits extended to the vulnerable entities should be increased under the prevailing economic crisis. He said the relevant process currently underway in a transparent manner. He further said that the hypothetical figure of vulnerable family units eligible for this program in the preliminary round was more than 2 million. He also said that more than 500,000 will gain eligibility under the disabled, elderly and renal disease categories as individual recipients. He said the relevant lists will be published after fairly considering the appeals and objections in order to extend the benefits to the rightful recipients. He added that the first installment will be made to them in the month of July. Hotline 1924 has been introduced to obtain information pertaining to the Aswasthma welfare benefits. The service will be available from Monday to Friday from 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. Those who are unable to direct their appeals and objections via online platforms can hand them over personally to any divisional secretariat in the country.
And in the meantime, the police reward scheme for police personnel and individual informants assisting in the recovery of unauthorized firearms and hand grenades has been increased. The IGP has taken the initiative to increase the reward scheme on the instruction of Minister Tiran Alas. Many shootings incidents have been reported from various parts of the country in recent times, and the police have indicated that a total of 43 such incidents have been reported during this year. So far, 23 individuals have died from such shooting incidents, and organized criminals have been involved in these incidents. The police continue to conduct operations to recover unauthorized firearms involved in such incidents, and required steps have been taken to control the existing situation. Accordingly, an initiative was taken to increase the police reward scheme for police personnel and individual informants assisting in the recovery of unauthorized firearms and hand grenades. The IGP has issued orders to make these relevant reward payments under the provisions of the IGP circular issued on September 18, 2019. The revised reward payments will be made for the unauthorized firearms and hand grenades seized during the police raids conducted from today until the 31st of July. Accordingly, a reward worth 200,000 rupees to 250,000 rupees will be extended for T-56 firearm, and 10,000 rupees to 250,000 rupees worth rewards will be provided for other types of firearms. A reward worth 15,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees will be provided for foreign manufactured hand grenades.
State Minister Janaka Wakkumbara says that the government will consider the proposal presented at the Advisory Council of the Provincial Councils and Local Government Ministry to revoke the nomination submitted for the local government elections. He said that both ruling party and also the opposition parliamentarians made this request at the Ministry Advisory Committee meeting. A unanimous agreement has been reached at the Advisory Council meeting to revoke the relevant nominations, as various issues have been transpired pertaining to the state employees who have submitted nominations following the postponement of the elections. Accordingly, the proposal has to be passed in Parliament as a Special Provisions Act, and State Minister Janaka Wakkumbara said that the legal advice will be sought in this regard. Meanwhile, Speaker Mahinda Apapewardena said that a report on the new members selected for the Elections Commission will be directed to the approval of the President in the next couple of days. The new members were selected during the Constitutional Council meeting held recently. The Speaker said that the approval of the Constitutional Council has been granted to appoint Elections Commissioner General RMA L. Ratnayaka for the chairmanship of the Commission. The other members of the Commission are former Elections Commissioner General M.A. P.C. Pereira, former legal draftsman, President's Counsel Deepani Kumarajiva, and Attorney at Law Amir Faiz, and Dr. Ramesh Ramasamy from the University of Peru. The tenure of the newly selected Commission members will be effective for 5 years following the approval of the President.
Chairperson of the Dengue Control Expert Committee, State Minister Dr. Sita Arambepula, said that a special cleanliness program for dengue control will be undertaken in the Colombo Municipal Council area next weekend, and the public is requested to remain at home and support the program. State Minister Dr. Sita Arambepula made these remarks at the press conference held today at the Presidential Media Centre on the control of the spread of dengue. The State Minister mentioned that more than 47,000 dengue cases have been reported since January, and 50% of them are reported from the Western Province. State Minister Dr. Sita Arambepula said that preventing the breeding of the mosquito and preventing the mosquito from getting the virus is important in controlling dengue. The vector can be reduced by identifying the places where the water collects during the rainy season and preventing the breeding of mosquitoes, she added. The State Minister said that people need to be educated in order to lower their risk of getting bitten by a mosquito. In densely populated areas, she pointed out that the chance of dengue transmission from one mosquito to a large number of people is very high. Accordingly, she said that a special cleanliness program will be implemented in the city of Colombo with the support of the tri-forces during the next weekend. The National Dengue Control Unit, Provincial Department of Health Services and local government authorities will also join the Office of the Medical Officer of Health will make relevant notifications. Accordingly, the State Minister requested the people to stay at home this coming weekend and support the program. And after that program, places where dengue mosquitoes are most likely to be bred will be inspected for larvae on specific days in Colombo and Gabha districts for a week, she added. Dr. Arambepula said that a series of urgent programs are being implemented through the dengue control subcommittees appointed in the provinces. At the same time, specific programs are being implemented in all other provinces as per the instructions of the Provincial Health Officer, she added.
The Sectoral Oversight Committee on the National Economic and Fiscal Plans issued instructions to Excise Department to take prompt action to recover the taxes due from large-scale liquor manufacturing companies. The relevant instructions were issued when the officials of the Excise Department were summoned before this committee recently. Well, the meeting of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Economic and Fiscal Plans were presided over by MP Mahinda Algamage. The meeting was held at the Parliamentary Complex recently. Parliamentarian Mahindananda Alutgamage pointed out to the officials of the Excise Department that the expected revenue from the Excise Department this year is 217 billion rupees, and as of June, only 72.985 billion rupees have been earned. He said that due to this, the Excise Department of Sri Lanka has not reached the expected income. The officials present here pointed out that the production and sale of alcohol has decreased due to the increase of the price of alcohol. The officials pointed out, presenting data, that the expected income cannot be reached due to these issues. But Parliamentarian Alutgamage said that the revenue of the Excise Department has not increased for a considerable number of years. Therefore, it is not observed that the income has decreased only due to the increase in the price of alcohol. Therefore, he instructed the officials to collect directly from the large-scale alcohol production companies in this country.
A decision has been reached to declare June 30th as a special bank holiday. Accordingly, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe made clarifications over the relevant decision.
Main reason for this 30th of bank holiday announcement was to create a sufficient number of days for domestic debt optimization strategy that has been discussing with the Central Bank and the Minister of Finance. That strategy has to be announced, implemented, and obtain the proper approval process from the cabinet, committees in the parliament, and also the parliament debate. So that process requires about at least 4 days continuously. During the days, markets, especially debt market and equity market, should not function because those information are very market sensitive. It would be best that if those proposals are discussed in the public when the those markets are sensitive markets not functioning. So when you look at the time frame or window of opportunity in terms of timing, but Minister of Finance and Central Bank looked at the calendar, that we found 30th of Friday, if that is declared as a bank holiday, there is a sufficient 4 to 5 days long period markets are not functioning. That would be the best time to discuss this open and transparent basis with the cabinet, in the parliament, at the committee stage, and complete the strategy and get the necessary approval during this period. This is the reason why the Friday, 30th June Friday was announced as a bank holiday. So while announcing that, we also would like to announce that even though 30th is a bank holiday, all the banking activities that can be done during the period of holidays, for example, online banking, internet banking, ATM withdrawals, and fund transfers among accounts with the technology that can be done with banks physically opening or not. So we want to ensure that all banking services, especially the public to withdraw money, the public to do internet online transfers can happen. And also, especially we know some of the banks have weekend banking. There are no restrictions even for them to have weekend banking facilities for people who would want to come to banks, and in-person facilities that can also be facilitated. Only reason for this announcement is to have a sufficient time window for the parliament, cabinet, and the other processes to take place and announce a strategy when markets open after this long holiday period.
Meanwhile, the Bank for International Settlements says governments around the world should raise taxes or cut public spending to help central banks time inflation and mitigate the risk of a financial crisis. The World Central Bank umbrella body warned that the world economy is now at a crucial point as countries struggle to rein in inflation. Despite the relentless rise over the last 18 months, inflation in many top economies remained stubbornly high, while the jump in borrowing costs triggered the most serious banking collapses since the financial crisis 15 years ago. The global economy is at a critical juncture and stern challenges must be addressed. Bank for International Settlements General Manager Augustin Carsten said in the organization's annual report. It is the first time that across much of the world a surge in inflation has coexisted with the widespread financial vulnerabilities. The reports has further indicated that if interest rates reach mid-1990s levels, the overall debt service burden for top economies would be the highest in history. March and April saw a failure of a number of U.S. regional banks, including Silicon Valley Bank, and then the emergency rescue of Credit Suisse in the BIS's own backyard. According to a report, absent belt tightening by governments would push debt above 200% and 150% of GDP by 2050 in advanced and emerging market economies, and could be even higher if economic growth rates wane. Part of the report published recently also laid out a blueprint for an evolved financial system where central bank digital currencies and tokenized banking assist speed up and smarten up transactions and global trade. BIS General Manager Carsten said the emphasis was now on policymakers to act. The BIS is in belief that an economic soft landing where rates rise without triggering recessions or major banking crashes is still possible, but accepts it is a difficult situation. Analysts at Bank of America have calculated there have been a whopping 470 interest rate rises globally over the past 2 years, compared with 1,202 cuts since the financial crash. The U.S. Federal Reserve has lifted its rates 500 basis points from near zero. The European Central Bank has hiked the Eurozone by 400 basis points, and many developing world economies have done far more.
Well, several leading political parties had organized their electoral meetings during the previous week. An electoral meeting of the United National Party was held in Ambalangoda. It was organized by UNP organizer for Ambalangoda, Janit Wickramathilaka. The meeting was conducted with the participation of parliamentarian Vajira Abewardana. The electoral meeting of the National People's Power was held in Harispattu town in Badulla. It was held with the participation of Politburo member Janata Vimukti Peramuna Lal Kanta. The meeting was organized by the NPP National Executive Member Samantha Vidyaratne. The Kalawava electoral meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held with the participation of MP S.M. Chandusena. The meeting was organized by the Kalawava electoral organizer S.M. Ranjit. General Secretary of the party, Sagara Karivasan, was also present at this occasion.
Samaki Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva points out that the primary benefit of the domestic debt restructuring process is the reduction of the skyrocketed interest rates. Speaking at a media briefing held today, the parliamentarian said that the benefit will be extended to small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. MP Dr. Harsha De Silva said the primary benefit of the domestic debt restructuring process is to bring down the increased interest rates to a stable level. He said that the prevailing risk should be reduced in order to revive the development process of the country. He pointed out that the interest rates will come down as the risk begins to de-escalate, which will allow an economic growth favorable for small and medium-scale entrepreneurs and other agencies.
A new bus stand in Katharagama, established in line with the Katharagama Asala festival, was vested with the public today. Well, the new bus stand was built at a cost of 20 million rupees under the financial provisions of the Ruhunu Mahakatharagama Devale. Well, Katharagama is a pilgrimage site which is historically sacred to the people in Sri Lanka. The Katharagama Devale, a shrine dedicated to Skandakumar deity, has been the center of attraction in Katharagama for many centuries. Accordingly, many local and foreign devotees of Buddhist, Hindu, Islamic faiths visit Katharagama town to take part in the festivities and religious activities pertaining to the Katharagama Asala festival. However, the bus stand utilized by many travelers who visit Katharagama was in a dilapidated state in the recent past. Many media reports were circulated over the condition of the bus stand. Subsequently, the construction of the new bus stand under the provisions of the Kataragama Devalaya was commenced with the mediation of Basnayaka Nilame of the Ruhunumaha Kataragama Devalaya, Dishan Gunasekara. Accordingly, the new bus stand was vested with the public today in line with this year's Kataragama Asala Festival. This was held with the participation of Minister Bandula Gunawardena and Basnayaka Nilame of the Ruhunumaha Kataragama Devalaya, Dishan Gunasekara. The Sri Lanka Transport Board also deployed several new buses to the new stand, marking the occasion.
And in relation to that, today is the 7th day of the Kataragama Asala Festival. The 6th procession of the festival paraded the streets last night.
Kataragama 2023 official media sponsored ChannelEye Rupavahini. Today is the 7th day of the annual Asala festival of Ruhunumaha Kataragama Devalaya. It's the weekend, so we see how hundreds of thousands of people visit Kataragama to witness the grand procession. And to ameliorate public transportation, the new building of the Kataragama main bus stand was opened by the Honorable Basnayak Nilame this evening with the presence of Buddhist monks and ministers. The construction of the building was funded by the Mahadevala Trust Fund. And also we see how after the first 6 days the Honorable Basnayak Nilame visits the procession. He visited last night's procession proudly representing the king. He might visit tonight's procession as well, but that's yet to find out for us. For the latest updates, please stay tuned with ChannelEye Rupavahini. I'm Mamavi Biso Bandar for Rupavahini News at the Ruhunumaha Kataragama Devala premises. Thank you.
Activities there and more. News from Kataragama today is the 3rd day of the Khanda Surindu Homage program and the parade carrying jewelry.
රටක් පුබුදන රයිගම් දෙවැනි එක 100% සහල් නූඩල්ස් කදිර දිව්‍ය රාජ චිත්‍රපටය අගෝස්තු 3 වනදා සිට දිවයින පුරා සිනමා
මහනුවර නගරයට පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. මහනුවර කතරගම මහා දේවාලයේ අපි මේ මොහොතේදී සිටින්නේ අද දිනේ හවස් වරුව මේ පුදබිම තුල.
And now let's take a look at more local news items in brief. Sri Lanka Air Force has initiated a surface treatment plant at the Palawi station. It is declared open with the participation of Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Patirana. The surface treatment plant expected to play a crucial role in facilitating the surface finishing of spares during the overhaul process of various types of aircrafts. A special puja was held yesterday, marking the conferring of Upadhyaya title of Malwata chapter to Chief Incumbent, the Bauddha Tanaya at Watrapala Road in Mount Lavinia, Venerable Dr. Divyegaha Yasasithera. The event was held at the Malwata Vihara Chapter House. Chief Prelate of Malwata Chapter, Most Venerable Thibutave Sri Sumangala Thera, along with Mahasangha and devotees. The Industry 2023 National Industry Exhibition organized at the BMICH Colombo was concluded today. The final day of the exhibition was opened with the participation of Ministers Bandula Gunawardena and Harin Fernando and Dr. Ramesh Patrina and Acting Defence Minister Pramita Bandara Tenakon. The 4-day exhibition was organized by Ministry of Industry, Sri Lanka Industrial Development Board and other state and private sector institutions.
විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍ය
Minister Ali Sabri called on his Chinese counterpart Qin Gang today in Beijing. Lengthy discussions were held on various aspects to further strengthen the bilateral cooperation between the nations.
Launching of the English language version of the book Crisis in Sri Lanka and the World, written by Professor Asoka Bandarage of the California Institute of Integral Studies, and its singular translation has taken place at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute recently. Well, this book reiterates the fact that Sri Lanka's present crisis is only another example of the global crisis. The World also points out that the origins of the Sri Lankan crisis goes back to the colonial period of the island. Professor Bandarage, in her latest book, further says that in order to come out of the crisis, all Sri Lankans must unite and work through their own effort. The singular translation, a Sarasavi publication, was done by news editor of national television, Chandana Bandarage. Well, that's news at home. Time for a short break, and we'll be back with international stories shortly.
கோடிக்கணக்கில் அதிர்ஷ்டம் பெறும் எமது வீரனே, நாடு விட்டு நாடு சென்று வென்ற தோழனே, பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் மூலம் வென்ற சூரனே, உழைப்பினாலே கடமை செய்த பொறுப்பாளனே, கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் அல்ல முன்கூட்டிய வாழ்க்கையை வெல்ல, பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் வரமே கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் தருமே.
வாராந்தம் 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய், மாதாந்தம் 1 மில்லியன் ரூபாய், ஆண்டிறுதியில் மாபெரும் சீட்டெடுப்பில் 1 கோடி ரூபாய் உட்பட மேலும் பணப்பரிசுகளை வெல்லுங்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் நேரடியாக அனுப்புங்கள், பெரும் வெற்றி காணுங்கள்.
මහනුවර පොත්දැක්ම 2023 ජූලි 26 සිට ජූලි 2 වෙනිදා දක්වා පෙරවරු 9 සිට පස්වරු 7 දක්වා කැන්ඩි සිටි සෙන්ටර් හිදී සංවිධානය ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොත් ප්‍රකාශකයින්ගේ සංගමය.
Welcome back after the break. And on foreign news, Wagner chief ordered his mercenaries to halt their march on Moscow to avoid shedding Russian blood.
And accordingly, he has agreed to live in exile in Belarus, ending one of the biggest challenges to President Vladimir Putin's escalating long rule. Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin will not face charges after calling off his troops' advance in Moscow, the Russian government says, easing the country's most serious security crisis in decades. The feud between the Wagner chief Yevgeny and also Russia's military brass came to a crisis yesterday, with Wagner forces capturing a key army headquarters in South Russia and then heading north to threaten the capital. Within hours of Yevgeny's about phase, the Kremlin announced he would leave for Belarus and Russia would not persecute him or also prosecute him. Wagner members. Prigozhin also feuded bitterly with Moscow's military leadership.
And on to sports news, Sri Lanka secured their third consecutive win in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier today after beating Ireland by 133 runs.
The match was played in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. Batting first, Sri Lanka managed to put up a score of 325 runs in their innings. Sadira Samarawikrama scored 82, while Dimit Karunaratne scored 103. This was Sri Lanka's Test captain's maiden one-day international century. Charit Asalanka scored 38 and Dhananjay De Silva was not out 42. Mark Adair picked up 4 wickets and Barry McCarthy picked up 3 for Ireland.
And that's 50 for Samara Ukrama.
But it's not the same theory.
In 2019, he made 97 against Australia at the Oval. And today, for the first time in his one-day international career, he gets to... Yeah, he loves that shot.
It is. Bowled.
Knew they needed...
Out. Doesn't matter where they are on the bound. Dhananjay's response is to move.
And then chasing a target of 326 runs, Ireland only managed to gather 192 runs with only 21 overs. Curtis Camphor scored 39 while Harry Tekkar scored 33. Sri Lanka's Wanindu Hasaranga picked up 5 wickets while Mahesh Theekshana picked up 2. Accordingly, Sri Lanka won the match by 133 and managed to qualify for the Super 6 stage of the tournament. The next match will be against Scotland on the 27th.
To me, Fantamai.
And that's all news for tonight. Until we meet again tomorrow at the usual time, I'm Hishain Ali signing off with Clifford Richards. Good night, everybody.
Good night.